It's a good day to be a Castlevania fan.
Oh,
finally,
yes.
payoff.
Yes, oh yes. Episode 7 of Season 2.
Actually entering the damn castle.
Oh my god, this is what we had been waiting for all season. And after seasons long of burn and character motivations and interactions, we're ready for the final confrontation with Dracula.
Yep.
And boy, what a f***ing confrontation it is.
It's great. I mean, right from the get-go, you see them enter the castle. I'm just like, do 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 do, and I'm just goofing off, and they actually go in, and then everything freezes.
Oh my god, yeah, you have the two forces of Carmilla's forces and Dracula's forces clashing.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, everything stops.
Yep.
As Sypha, Alucard, and Trevor walk in. Very, determined and this great hero shot. And they're staring them all down, and everybody's attention turns to them. And, you feel the tension start building. And there's this great moment. This little tune starts playing.
Yeah.
And you're like, as a Castlevania fan, I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a second.
I didn't think they'd go through the whole thing. Like, I heard the opening, I'm like, I heard this melody, and then it kicked off.
I know this!
Ah!
Bloody tears!
As soon as, he's just like, I prepare them, you stop them, and Alucard just goes, begin. And the song kicks off, I go,
oh my god.
Ah!
Just this kick-ass rendition of Bloody Tears as this battle commences, as the trio just takes on all these vampires.
First shot, Trevor just takes his whip, impales his whip, he's like, ah! And every time it hits someone, it's like a nuke, and
somebody
vampires
blows
go
up.
flying.
He's blowing off faces, chopping off heads in crowd.
Sypha's going ballistic on her
Oh
spells.
my god, real creative uses of her
Huge
spells,
wall
too.
of fire, and then Alucard jumps in, and he becomes the wolf.
Oh, which I wasn't expecting.
Me
I was
neither.
waiting to see him transform all season, and he transforms into the wolf. And there's this moment where, he goes after a vampire, and you think as a wolf that he's gonna get hit, right? But then, boom, out of nowhere, his sword comes telepathically sliding, and he bites it in his mouth, and he's still going at it. It's just this awesome choreographed fight, and the whole time, Bloody Tears is just raging in the background.
Yeah, the Castlevania music makes it work.
Oh my god, Sypha, she uses her spells, and she's got this ice wall, and one of the nameless generals jumps on it, and he's running on top of this ice wall, and then Sypha's like, ha! Cuts him in half. And I'm like, oh my god, this is great! The hell with these nameless generals, I don't give a crap.
The best thing about it is they have awesome deaths.
Exactly!
One gets deep throat by the Morning Star.
Oh my god.
Another one gets sliced in half, as you mentioned. There's the ghost one who was really cool. She gets sliced, but then she turns into a mist.
Either Japanese or
Chinese the Japanese one.
I'm not entirely sure, but it's just great deaths for all these cool designs.
It's a good 3-minute long scene, so there's a lot of action. The song plays long enough to where it's that's Bloody Tears, and that's the whole song. It loops. Just thank you. That was the one thing I wanted, and I was just maybe it's not. And when it happened, I was happy.
Oh my god, I was happy too. I was
It
so
was a glorious fight.
So good. And then
That's the highlight of the season.
And at this point, Dracula has been involved with the fight with the two armies, but when the trio shows up, Isaac kind of we need to retreat.
Yeah.
We need to do a little bit of retreat. And at this point, we get to it. It's just the forces in the castle are dead outside of a few guards, Isaac and Dracula. And Isaac is so ready to die for Dracula. And at the end of the day, everything that's built up over this season, the kind of man we learn Dracula to be.
Yeah.
And he can't let him die. Even though that's the one thing Isaac is willing to do. Is at the end of the day, he is willing to die for Dracula.
Yes.
And Isaac wants to do it, and Dracula's just I'm sorry, I gotta take that away from you.
Yeah.
And he flings him through the mirror of fate.
Back into the desert.
Back into the desert.
Why he picked that area of all places?
Very confused, but whatever.
Very rude.
Very rude. I thought he was going to send him to that forest that he sent the cloak through.
That would have been more appropriate when it actually connected, because I remember you were just like, what was the point of that? I was just like, it was kind of to foreshadow what he's going to do to Isaac. I'm like, why didn't he send him to the forest? I'm like, because he's kind of a dick still. He doesn't like Isaac that much. If it was Hector, he'd put him in the forest.
I don't know. I think we can definitely say that if there are two people that Dracula likes, it's Isaac and Hector.
Yes.
So he flings Isaac through the desert, and it's a very obvious, like, visual shot, representative. Like, Isaac definitely feels a little bit betrayed because they purposely frame him in such a way that he is on his hands and knees, crying out to a man he loves, which is a callback to that flashback when he was young.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very obvious thing.
Yeah,
and
for his master, but in a different way.
In a different
he
way.
He viewed Dracula much higher than his actual master back in the day when he was a slave.
Oh yeah, but in the same sense though, it feels like a betrayal.
Yeah.
And I think we'll touch on more about this in episode 8. For now, we got more action to talk about because, you know, Artria's got to fight Dracula. And even though Dracula hasn't fed, he's a badass.
Oh yeah, he's still kicking ass. Graham McTavish, he is Castlevania's Dracula.
Oh god, yeah, he is so good. You know, in this episode, he is so good.
And like when those three like duke it out, and like he, as soon as like Alucard stabs him and he grabs it, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a big fight.
And all I'm thinking in my head is back a few episodes when poor Godbrand was still alive, and it's just like, we're all gonna die, all of us. But you know, he hasn't fed, but he's still the strongest guy in the room.
Yeah, he's cracking it. Sypha, Alucard, Trevor. I mean, Trevor's like whooping on him. He just looks at him. He's like, "Oh, you must be the Belmont."
You're the Belmont. You're the Belmont, and it's just, we don't fully get like an idea of like, is there a family history there? But he knows the family.
Yeah, he knows the family.
And it's just
like, I would have liked a bit more from this is the descendant of Leon, and now that we basically specify that
don't
happened,
know that story yet.
That's the story I want to see now.
This world.
Yeah, because knowing that story, like I went back after I finished this and watched cutscenes heavily of Lament of Innocence. It made me think of some things differently. Like the way this ends, the way I feel about really Dracula as a whole. It's like, I need to know how Lament of Innocence happens in this show now.
I think that's the most important thing, is knowing how it happens in terms of this world. Because there are things that are distinctly different, and distinctly different for a reason. You know, and it tells, I don't want to say a better story, but a certain quality story.
Yeah.
That you could only tell in this way. So, I think that's something, you know, that we'll see further down the line. But you know,
I really would like to see it, because it just makes me concerned. Because when you play Lament of Innocence and you know how those events happened, you need to be like, how are they going to change them to justify what's happening now?
Well, you know what? I think one of the things that I'll say about just in this season, okay, without going into predictions of what's to come or what should have been, but from what we've seen over, what is it, 8, 9, 12 episodes?
Yeah.
From 12 episodes, season 1 and season 2, the way they've built up things.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, you know, originally we thought that like they were going to play more heavily into like the mirrored aspect of
Trevor and Dracula.
But at the end of the day, this is more of a confrontation for Alucard and Dracula, because it's very much a family-driven story.
Yeah.
So
it's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you realize that Symphony of the Night was that family drama. And like when you think they're going to go that route, it's just like, well, they kind of do that here. Because Trevor's kind of there. There's no interaction between them alongside of the, you must be the Belmont, I'm kicking your ass. And then he whips him once and, oh, by the way, he hits him with that Morning Star, and he's like, all right, I've had enough! And then fucking, hellfire, whatever it is, just bursts out and just like,
Oh my
holy
God.
shit!
He uses the meteor.
Yeah, the meteor.
Which I, again, wasn't expecting to
Me
show up
neither.
in this version of the show. But it's like, yeah, Dracula knows some spells, guys. He's not just, super strong and super fast. No, he knows some spells. And he uses the meteor spell, and my brain just fucking...
It takes all three of them to
turn the tide.
yeah,
so
turn
that
the
they
tide
can
of that
strike.
spell. And I'm just like, holy shit.
It does a very good job of like making you understand why it's gonna take three of them and why Alucard couldn't take them.
Yeah.
In the first fight and all the way back in
Yeah.
episode 1 of season 1. There's a reason why all three of them are there to do this fight.
And that is a good thing. Like, all three of them are doing their part, but story-wise, it's Alucard's fight.
It's Alucard's
Trevor
fight.
and Cypher are there. And it's a hard pill for me to swallow, especially since you think there's this parallel in the first season, and you're familiar with Dracula's Curse is kind of like the Belmont thing, and Symphony of the Night is the Alucard thing.
Right.
With that being said, it's still expertly executed.
Oh my god, absolutely.
So it's like you kind of have to separate it from the games, unfortunately,
And I
to
think
appreciate it for what it is.
That has been the hardest thing for us as deep Castlevania fans, is being able to take that and separating it.
Yeah.
Like in season 1, like I was very much like, where the hell is Grant in all this?
Mm-hmm.
And over the time that we had the gap between season 1 and season 2, I had settled with the fact that we're probably not going to see Grant.
No.
Because this is a different kind of story.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think the decisions they did make were rather smart.
Yeah, they're good decisions.
I think they're very good decisions in terms of the storytelling aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you realize that, all of this... Because Castlevania, at the end of the day, is a family drama.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that the focus is Dracula and Alucard.
Mm-hmm.
It's Trevor's purpose of being there and the fact that, Dracula at least knows the family.
Yeah.
It's more of Trevor coming to the full, he has been so far removed from his family's legacy now that he's taking on Dracula and fighting.
Yeah.
This is him, taking on that legacy to heart and really, being the Belmont that he's supposed to be. And it's not so much the interaction between him and Dracula.
Yeah. It's more like I have to be like, okay, maybe another Belmont is where I'm going to see this actual interaction or connection. Because it's not Trevor, apparently.
No.
And we'll see where they go from here. Again, if they go in a completely original, different direction, I'd be more open to this. If they start replicating games, I'm going to start raising some eyebrows.
We can talk about this at the end of episode 8. Because
Okay.
I have some ideas for our season 3 prediction.
Okay, alright.
And we'll save that for then. But, for now, let's just...
So they fight, it's 3 on
let's finish up
Dracula,
the fight.
and then they go DBZ between Alucard and Dracula.
Oh my God.
All throughout the castle.
All throughout
There's
the castle.
I can't take credit for this, but there's a roast beef, or a pork chop, whatever you want to call the damn thing, in the wall in one of those shots.
The turkey leg.
Yeah, the turkey leg.
The
We'll
turkey
call it
leg,
that.
roast beef, pork chop, whatever you want to call it. Meat in the wall.
There's meat in the wall.
There's meat in the wall.
For a shot.
And I can't believe, because we're so just deep in this and excited about it, we didn't notice. But it's just another little extra tiny little thing that just
There's an
excites
Easter egg
us
that
when
was
we
found.
find out. But this fight culminates, and we have this interaction between Alucard and Dracula, and Alucard's like, you're not gonna kill me. You didn't kill me last time. You're not going to kill me this time. And there's the line that he says all the way back in episode 1 where
I grieve with you.
I grieve with you. I mourn with you. But
I'm not going to commit genocide.
I'm not going to let you commit genocide.
Yeah.
And
I like the line, it ends in the name of my mother, and he goes, it endures in the name of your mother.
oh my god, yeah.
That is like the,
Such,
how about you? Like,
how about you? It's such a good counterpoint, and it really just cements this whole fight to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep going at it, and eventually they end up in what looks like a bedroom.
Yeah.
And I am not ashamed whatsoever to admit this, but I was bawling my eyes out.
I was choked up. I wasn't bawling, but I was
I
choked
wasn't
up.
choked up.
I was like, this
was full out.
Beautiful.
Sitting in my bedroom watching this on my TV. I'm sitting in bed, bawling my eyes out like a baby. Sniffles, like it was full on ugly, ugly cry. Because,
oh my God.
Because there's Dracula. He's beating Alucard down. And
Yeah.
Alucard, like, has been shielding himself at this point because I think he realizes that his father might be even farther gone now, that there's a good possibility he's going to die.
Yeah.
And Dracula stops.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around the room, and it's Alucard's room from when he was a child.
Yes.
There's a painting hanging up on the wall. It's Dracula and his wife and little baby Alucard. It's an adorable thing, and I'm kind of getting a little. I feel it in my eyes now, starting to jerk up describing it. But he stops and he's like, Lisa, I'm killing our boy. And I'm like, no! The tears started flowing. I'm like, no, my heart! I was so sad. And he just has this moment and he keeps saying it. And he starts crying.
Yeah,
and he
cries.
I'm like, no! Don't do this to me!
And then Alucard does like the unspeakable act of what he has to do.
He has to, and he knows it, and Dracula accepts it.
Yeah.
He stakes him.
It almost looks like Dracula wants to hug him one last time.
He's there, he bursts in the flame, and he's like this black goop, and he's like reaching out like he wants to hug him one final time. And again, I'm like, stop doing this to me. My emotions can't handle it. I'm going to cry.
Like, it is the saddest villain death I've ever seen.
And like Alucard doesn't know how to...
It's a beautiful scene, beautiful music.
Alucard doesn't know how to react. He's like half in shock and tears because he just killed his father.
Yeah.
Black Mask Goop is reaching out to him. And God bless Trevor and Sypha. They come in and he's just like, get away from him. You know, move back from him. And he finishes off Dracula. He slices off his head. It's just like, it's one of those things. It's just like, at this point, like, whether the staking was going to kill him or not, it's just like,
we need to finish the job.
We need to finish the job, and in a sense, it would give, because despite the fact that they kind of butt heads, Alucard and Trevor are friends.
Yeah.
So it's this is the best thing that I could not only do for the world, but for my friend is finishing off his father for him, so he doesn't have to. Because this is already too much for both of them. It's just like he comes in and just finishes it.
Yeah. And then Sypha burns the body.
Dracula. The body gone, burst into this chaos like mist that just escapes through the castle. And in the end, we're all satisfied. And Phil is in tears.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
It's a tragic end. I can't think of a single villain death that's worse. Worse as in, like, sad. Like, I actually was just like, damn.
I felt so...
Poor Dracula.
So bad at the end of this episode.
Like, they pulled off what Symphony of the Night tried to do, where it's just like, oh, you get it. But, like, this one tugged at the emotions and, like, really solidified and drove the stake in our hearts.
I think...
That, this sucks for Alucard to do.
I think it definitely speaks to the quality of the writing of this show. Yeah. That you can care so much for your heroes and your villains that, that a grown-ass man can weep for them. Like, I think that honestly says something about this episode. And there is a reason why it is my favorite of the season, and I keep coming back to it. It's just like, it has...
It's great how, like, you get so pumped and then so like, torn at the end of it all.
Like, such a gut punch. And I haven't felt
We did not
so
expect
strongly.
this, talking back on the front. We were expecting, like, a beautiful, climactic, epic battle.
Yeah.
Castlevania fashion.
Like...
Second form and all that shit. And then they pull this out, and I'm like... Doesn't bother me either.
I'm like, season 1 Phil would have loved seeing him transform into that beast that the like winged thing that he is.
Yeah,
at
the
end
demon
of,
monsters.
At the end of Dracula's Curse.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just the way this has been built up
Yeah.
and that huge gut punch in the air, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because this is the better ending for me.
It works.
It works so much more for me in terms of the way that they have written this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of left breathless. And I don't know what else to say. But
Well, there's a lot more we could say, but I think it's more appropriate for the actual finale. And talking about season 3.
Yeah.
Because where they go in the future will depend on, in the long run, how I look back on this finale, on this send-off to Dracula. Because this is a send-off, this is
You
the
know
death of a
what?
villain, this is an excellent send-off, and it's just like, what's next? Because there's the Castlevania series that I know, to where it's just like, you can't really do that to Dracula. And then it's just like, what do they want to do? And when they say, we want to do Symphony of the Night, I'm like, you played that card, though.
we will talk about that next episode.
Okay.
We keep wanting to touch on it because our
Uh-huh.
minds are swirling with season 3 possibilities. But we will save that for next time, where we discuss episode 8, the return of the king, of the
Of the
castle,
vampire.
of the vampires, of the final episode.
Works for me.